can see me. What? Stop hating with no black eyes are closed, ears are shut. We keep waiting, kingdom come with no thought to what we've done. Love is a ray of light that buried deep inside us. Haven't we been silent enough? What are the risks we take for it? What are the rules we break for it? What are the lengths we go for love? Words are spoken, songs are sung, gifts are given, but only some. Love is a ray of light that buried deep inside us. Haven't we been silent enough? What are the risks we take for it? What are the rules we break for it? What are the lengths we go for love? Oh, for love. Well, good evening. My name's Levi McGrath, and I'm very honoured to kick off tonight's ChildSafe fundraiser. I'm a social justice musician and a ChildSafe champion, and it gives me great pleasure to be a part of this event tonight. If you're watching from home or wherever you are, please like and share this feed right now so that everybody can join in and see it, not just now but later as well. But we want as many people to be watching this as possible, to spread this news, to share the work of ChildSafe and expand their reach, so we can raise a bunch of money tonight to continue their incredible work around the country. But I trust you'll join me now in sharing this with as many friends as possible to really expand the reach tonight. I'm going to share a song with you guys that I wrote a few years ago after traveling over to Southeast Asia and witnessing for myself some pretty horrific child sexual abuse, seeing firsthand what it does to children's lives and the brokenness that it can bring, knowing that it exists here in my country as well, just really terrifies me, and the impact is so great, and we can do something about that and help to protect children. So again, please like this post, share it now, share this live feed as it goes out there, and we want you to let us know where you are in the world. So where are you from? Where are your city? Where are you watching from tonight? Let us know you're tuning in, and you can see it all going. This song's called Be My Shelter. Somebody can be broken. Somebody can be bruised. Somebody is discarded. If somebody has abused, somebody has a family. Somebody has their friends. Somebody doesn't know if they'll see them again. They cried my shelter and it rains. They cried my comfort in this pain. Oh, 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 oh. Somebody can be bought. Somebody can be stolen. Somebody can be paid for. Somebody can be off. They cried my shelter and it rains. They cried my comfort in this pain. Oh, 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 oh. In the anxious silence, in the wake of the violence, in this restless nightmare, is there somebody out there? Cheers. Have a wonderful night. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, I am so excited to be here. Let's give a lot of emoji claps for Levi McGrath. Woo! Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much, Levi. It is wonderful to have you here, and I know how much of a big support you are for ChildSafe and being a ChildSafe champion. I'm just going to get in the shot here a bit better. Hey, welcome everyone. It's great to see everyone. Loving the live comments, loving what everyone's writing. Please make sure you tell us what country or what place you're from, where you're watching this. We know that many people are watching this from other countries and other places, but there's also people who are going to watch this after the live broadcast. And before we kick off and get any further, we just want to say welcome to the first ever online live ChildSafe fundraiser. Unfortunately, this year we couldn't actually be live as in face-to-face in both Brisbane and Melbourne. And so this is our opportunity to meet with our supporters and to get a larger reach so that we can continue to raise much needed funds for us, so we can help the children that we'll probably never meet but desperately need our help. I'm going to pause right now and I want to do an acknowledgement of country. And so one thing that is really, really important is that We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We want to make sure that that's a really critical thing we do. We know that wherever we're from, this is Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander land. And so what a privilege it is to be here today. Now, for those who do not know who ChildSafe is, ChildSafe has been around over 12 years. We are a not-for-profit harm prevention charity, and we work with organisations to prevent harm and abuse of children. We've designed certain tools and programs and services that we provide to help organisations put their legal requirements in place, but also to build a culture of child safety. We've helped organisations create over 260,000. There's 260,000 children in safer environments because of us, which we are really proud of. And that's probably a lot more than that, but that's what we can account for. And then on top of that, we wanted to let you know as well that we have, through this COVID time, we have focused a lot on parents and educating parents, getting experts in and helping them to help parents to make sure that they are keeping children safe as well, and giving them the tools to be able to do that. And also to keep organisations accountable for their opportunity and their responsibility to keep children safe, which is really, really important. So, as I said, we are about making sure we're helping the children that will probably never meet but desperately need our help, because statistics actually show that in a room of 30 children filled with boys and girls, that statistic would say that 1 boy and 6 girls will be sexually abused in their lifetime. That's pretty alarming, right? That's pretty alarming that in our lifetime that could happen. So we want you to know that when you give tonight, you can help us to prevent this in the organisation we work with and will work with, and help us to keep educating parents with the tools to help keep their children safe. So that's what you're giving to tonight. I'll give you a little bit more information about that, but it's really, really important that you recognise that it's not just about ChildSafe tonight. It's actually about the children that we're going to be helping and that will be helped because ChildSafe were there. Now, there's a bit of housekeeping I want to get into tonight. So we want you to interact, right? We want you to interact, and the way in which we want you to interact is there's lots of emojis you can use. So if you feel sad about something, put a sad emoji. If you feel happy, put a happy emoji. If you're thinking, you know, that one, I can't really do it very well, but make sure that you're able to do that. The other thing, we want you to comment. We want you to like. We want you to share. We want you to do all of those things so that we can get this out there as far and wide as we can, so more and more people can connect. We also want to acknowledge that Rodney from PN Digital is behind the scenes working. He is the one that's going to be responding to comments. He's going to be giving us tallies for us. He's going to be doing a lot of things, and we've partnered with them to make this live happen. And we are so thankful to Rodney and his team for being able to do that. It's live right now on Facebook, on YouTube. And there's going to be times where I'm going to say, hey, Rodney, can you put this up or anything like that? So just know that I'm not just talking to a screen. I'm talking to a man behind the screen, and he's doing great things. Now, I want you to know that online is a little bit hard when it comes to getting pumped up and getting that. But we know that it's a greater reach. And that's where you come in. We want you to like, we want you to share, and we want you to tag this live right now. So hit share right now and do that. And invite some other people to come and be part of this, and from whatever country, wherever place you're from. And also you can go into the draw to win Zoom Tunes with Nick Love cartoons, which I'll explain in a minute. I'm going to get him up in a moment, but I've got a few more things to talk about here. So before we get fully kicked off, the truth is that we want to acknowledge our sponsors tonight, those businesses that have actually given to our tally already and have enabled us to have this live. So far already, just because of our sponsors, we've already raised over $2,200. That's a clapping emoji right there. Woo! Fantastic. Thank you so much to our sponsors. And although we're going to be mentioning them through the night, we wanted to just give them a quick mention right now, listing them, okay? So the first one is Educate to Empower Publishing. Thank you so much. Kick for Life, EA Insurance Services, Duty of Care, Scripture Union Victoria, King Trim Upholstery, Leisure Management Excellence, and of course, Nick Love Cartoons. So we'll be mentioning a bit more about those guys throughout the night, but we just want to say a massive thank you for who they are and for their investment in us. Now we're going to cross live to our friend Nick Love from Nick Love Cartoons right now. Nick, are you there, mate?
Evening, everyone. I am. I've drawn my first picture, which I'm super excited about. In the opening song, Levi talked about a ray of light, and then you talked about children, and just the thought of children being abused really hurts. So here's my first picture. I've drawn the abuse is like a cloud over a child's life, and just as Levi was singing, I felt as kids saying, where's my ray of light? Where's my ray of light coming from? And I think tonight, ChildSafe help provide that light in equipping parents and people out there with the tools they need to help build get a brighter day for these children. So that's what we're fighting for tonight, to get that cloud of abuse that's over a child's head away.
Wow. That is a fantastic drawing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Over the night, Nick is we're going to be crossing live about 4 or 5 times tonight, and he's going to have a different picture from what's being shared, and also the opportunity to be able to, share about who ChildSafe is and how we're actually helping people. And he's going to actually share some pictures about what it's like for children to experience this. Now, Nick, you've got a competition running right now. What's that competition?
I'm giving away 5 Zoom Tune vouchers, and that means that if you win them by donating tonight, we'll set up a Zoom conference call where I draw you over the screen. Because of COVID, I can't be face-to-face, even though that I'm generally 1.5 meters away from people when I draw them. It makes no sense, but I can draw you over Zoom. So if you're in Herzegovina or Bosnia watching tonight, I can draw you in your lounge room. Hopefully you've got internet there. That'd be fantastic. Even if you're out at Powtown, I could draw you there. Wherever you are in Australia, if you donate tonight, the lovely team at ChildSafe will pick the winners. So get in donating. One day I might be famous, and these Zoom tunes might be worth $1.50.
I was just wondering if I win, can you draw some hair for me? Would that be all right?
Oh, look, I wouldn't use a lot of ink, to be honest.
Thanks very much. All right, thanks so much, Nick. Fantastic. We'll see you soon. All right, so tonight is obviously a fundraising night, and if you're able to even give $20, then that would be fantastic. We want you to head to childsafe.org.au/donate, and we would love for you to donate whatever you can tonight. You can donate on a regular basis or an individual basis, so once off, or a monthly as well. And we'd love to see more and more people donate to what we are doing here. Now, just give you an overview of what you're giving to tonight. You're helping us to create updated ChildSafe training at all levels of leadership, which enables all leaders to be trained, and also in turn keep thousands and thousands of children safe. It's about developing supportive resources, which enables to keep organisations accountable and using good practice, which in turn keeps thousands and thousands of children safe. And also where you're giving to help support parents. COVID has hit parents hard, especially in this time, and especially having to learn new skills about how to look after children. And so that's one thing that you're going to be giving to as well. So we want you to encourage you that if you're an organisation or if you're an individual, please, we would love to let you know that when you give, you're giving to keep children safe, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got a really special thing for you. Not only when you give, you could go into the draw to win a Zoom tune with Nick, but you also, if you give $100 or more, you get the Raising Resilient Kids book, which is an incredible book with authors like Dr. Michael Carr-Gregg, Sharon Witt. They've donated a bunch of books to us, and therefore have given us the opportunity to be able to give them away to those that give over $100 or more. If you give over $200, you get the book and Levi McGrath's album Come Home, which is absolutely fantastic. So we are about to introduce our first speaker tonight, but I need to make sure you understand there is a trigger warning because she's going to be sharing her story of being sexually abused as a child. And so if this does trigger anything, please make sure you talk to someone that you trust and make sure that you get support for that. And there's resources on our website for that. So I'm going to introduce Kelly Humphries. She is an author, a speaker, and survivor of child sexual abuse. She's also a ChildSafe champion. Give her lots of clapping emojis. Give it up for Kelly Humphries. Over to you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks for joining.
Awesome. All this love. Bless you guys. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm just going to go straight into it, and I've got a lot I want to share with you guys. This is my passion. It is my heart, and I absolutely love this organization. But, you know, for a very long time, it has been my heart to share in order to empower others and to empower survivors to speak up and speak out. So my story starts as innocent as many stories start, and that's that I grew up in the Aussie bushland. We had a dunny as the family potty. We had innocent baths in the, you know, overflow of the tank, and rode bikes and threw cow poo at each other. And life was beautiful until the shattering of that beauty just started. And it was very deceitful and cunning. And it started with my uncle, who told me that he wanted to teach me what it was like to love. And he continued teaching me for another 7 years. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The wise man in the storm prays to God, not for safety from danger, but for deliverance from fear." And in the middle of my worst storms, I would pray, and I would pray from the depth of my heart and from this absolute broken space that he would turn me into a bird so I could fly away. And I asked that if he would save me and he would deliver me from what was happening to me, that I would be better, that I'd be a good girl. But I was barely 8 when it started, so how was I to know any different? My uncle built a web of unspeakable trust around my 8-year-old heart. And when I found the courage to speak up and justify my fears, I would say, "You know what, Uncle Bob? I don't think God would want this to happen." And he would say, "Don't you think God would want us to love each other?" See, I didn't know how to tell Mum and Dad what I was feeling because I didn't have a language around that. Our uncle was so heavily ingrained in our family. He not only betrayed myself, but he betrayed my mum, my dad, and my family, because that's what happens in grooming, okay? It's not just the child that's groomed. It starts at the family. And a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of parents will beat themselves up and they'll say, "You know, it's my fault. I did the wrong thing." But no, you didn't, because a perpetrator is cunning, and they groom the family in order to gain access to the child, and then they groom the child. That's how it starts. Now, I had a chance to speak up when I was 12, and this had happened from the period of 8 up until I was 12 years old, and it was consistent. It wasn't like every day, but it was every now and then, and that's enough. Once is enough, okay? But, you know, Mum was cranky, and she was really cranky, and I didn't know why. She's a slammer, and she was like slamming down the pots and the pans and in the dishes, and I was like, "Why are you so cranky?" And she turned around and she said to me, "Has your uncle ever touched you?" And in that moment, I absolutely froze. I froze in complete fear, and I could feel my palms sweating and my heart was racing, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, and I was like, this is the time. This is the moment I get to speak. But I was so scared of breaking my family apart and so scared that my family wasn't going to love me anymore. Not that they would ever do that, but we are taught and we are shown that to be quiet is safer, okay? Like if we speak up, maybe we're going to lose everything that we love, our family, you know? And so I got scared, and it was at that moment I just ran up the garden and I contemplated life, and at 12 years old thought, you know what, maybe it's just better if I'm not here anymore. And that was the first time I actually had a moment where I thought that the world might be a better place without me. And a lot of survivors will go through that. They'll have that moment and they'll go, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore. It's even the power of speaking up can be that crippling that seems like maybe the only other choice is to not be here anymore. So I get it. I totally understand. And what saved me, and for many years it saved me, was my absolute love and talent in sport. Okay, I was very good at track and field. I was into every sport I could imagine. And, you know, I could have chosen a lot of ways to cope, but I was very blessed because I found a love for something that I could throw myself into. You know, I was a shot putter, at a javelin thrower and discus and hurdles, and I did everything. I loved it, you know, and so I pushed myself into my sport and I focused so hard on it. And it was around the same time that things were very intense that I chose a dream. I had a vision. I wanted to go to the Olympic Games. And I just held on to that like it was life and death. And, you know, I didn't waver on it. And I just kept doing one thing every day to get towards that. And a lot of times I thought, you know, I'm not going to make it. And I'd get down and I'd fall down to the bottom of the roller coaster. You know, I'd contemplate life and things were still going on. Things didn't stop. They did for a short time. And I didn't know why until a lot later in my life. And so, you know, things continued as they did. And, you know, he continued to do what he did to me. And it was hard. It was really hard because as I got older, the penny started to drop. And so that conversation with my mother at the sink was the moment that the penny actually dropped for me. And I realized all the things that he'd been telling me were a lie. And the penny dropped at that moment, and I thought, oh my God, it actually really is wrong. But it was already too late, and I was already stuck very deeply in the cycle. And so I just pushed through it from then on. Okay, so that sport became my life, you know, and so it saved me. And it saved me because the dream I had was bigger than the pain that I was experiencing. And that is what I tell survivors. It is what I share with people to say, like, you know, if you're struggling, if you are really, really struggling to get out of a situation, you've got to find something better than what you're in. You know, find your passion and hold on to it and keep taking steps towards that every day. And you'll finally realize that you've got some strength that you didn't know that you had. You find it, you know, and it's such a strong and powerful thing that you can do for yourself. And so I did. I pushed and I pushed and I kept going and I kept going. And all of a sudden, I was in high school and I got the scholarship to this amazing college, Fairholme College in Toowoomba. And it was an opportunity for me to get away. Okay. I was 15 and I had this almighty face-off with my uncle. It was one of the craziest experiences of my life where I was face to face with my fear. And it was the last time something happened. So the abuse in my life happened from the age of 8 up until 15. And I sometimes feel a great deal of shame admitting that fact. But I'm going to tell you this. When you are groomed for so long, and it continues for so long, until you have the tools to escape the cycle, it doesn't matter how old you are. You continue to even find abuse later in life with domestic violence and other situations you may find yourself in. It may not replicate child abuse, but it's possibly emotional abuse or something like that. So if you can encourage the people in your life or children or anyone that you know who's experiencing any sort of abuse to get help early, that is one thing I would love to leave you with, because it's something that I didn't know or have available to me at the time. And I didn't have those strategies around me, but it is absolutely essential to do that. So here's what happened, right? I was pushing and pushing so hard on my goals that I just was in a space of chaos all the time. I wanted to, well, I had suicidal thoughts, but because of what I had found in my love for sport, it wasn't something that I was willing to actually do, okay? So it was a thought, and that's enough. But there was this concept of being delivered from that fear, and I was living in a constant state of hypervigilance. A lot of survivors will do that. They live in this state where they are so stressed all the time, and kids will do it, and you'll see they'll have kids with anxiety, kids with mental health conditions and depression, because they're living in a constant state of anxiety from the abuse that they're struggling with. And so this was my life, but I was also deflecting it into this positive space, and that was sport. And that is why I have such a big heart for ChildSafe Australia, okay, is because of the work that they do with organisations, because sport was such a huge part of my life, right? So at the end of my senior school year, so in grade 12, I was heavily involved in soccer, heavily involved in track and field, with this dream of going to America, okay? And I was stuck. I was drinking. I never smoked, but I was just clubbing. I didn't have direction. I was depressed. I was finding myself stuck in places like in the middle of town where I would go every single day, but I'd be lost. And so it was at that moment that I kind of knew that I was sort of needing help. And then I get hit by a car, okay? I got hit by a car, and I was writing to these colleges, and I thought, you know what, my life is over. My dream is over of going to America. My ability to escape is over because I've just been hit by a car and my life is over. And it was at that point that I couldn't contain what was inside of me any longer. I was struggling so much. And that's where I was getting lost in places, and I was depressed and I wanted to kill myself. You know, it was a horrible place. But in those moments, there was beautiful people. And if it wasn't for those people, I would not be here. And so I went to college. So I was coaching at the college that I had graduated from. Okay. And I sat down, and I don't know how it happened. It just popped out of me, like in mid-conversation, to a coach. And I said, because she's like, what's happening to you? What's going on? And I said, oh, well, you know, sexually abused by my uncle. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, what? It just came out. But it came out to somebody who I really trusted, who was a coach, who I had a lot of respect for. And she said, you know what, Kel? She said, I don't know how to help you with this, but let me give you somebody who can. And so she referred me to a school guidance officer. And I wasn't at school, but it was somebody I was familiar with. And she helped me to report to the police, okay? To cut a very long story short, okay, it was a coach who I spoke to and shared my story with for the first time. And because of that, I had to tell my parents, right? Because they didn't know anything. And I had to make a choice at that point that I was willing to leave everything behind and lose my family, because the fear hadn't left. The fear of it as a child that I was going to lose my parents and they weren't going to love me was still there. It hadn't left me. And so I made a decision that it was worth it, because I had a sister who was 10 years younger than me. And if you can do the maths, if I was 19 when I share my story, she's exactly 10 years younger, which is about the same time that the abuse started with me. So I had a very deep fear that something was going to happen to her, and I had to speak up. So I did. And I asked my parents to come down, because I lived in Toowoomba. They're in central Queensland. And I said, I've got to talk to you. And they came up with everything. I thought I was pregnant and all this sort of stuff. I was like, no. I've got something else, but I can't tell you on the phone. So they did come, and they made the journey, and I spoke to them. And this is what happened. I started speaking, and I couldn't speak. I lost my voice. I started crying and sobbing. And it was my mum, and she looked at me and she said, it's your uncle. He did something, didn't he? And I said, yes, he did. And then we all just started crying. And she said, I never wanted anything to happen to you. She said, because it happened to me too, and I have never told anyone. So if I can encourage you, one, the power of your voice, it's the greatest gift that you can give to somebody sometimes. The power of speaking up sets other people free from their prisons. I didn't know what was going to happen after that. But it was that longing that I had since I was a child to be able to speak up and be safe to speak up. And she just held me and we cried. And I would just let go of all of those fears at once because I knew that she was still going to keep me. She was always going to keep me, okay? But it was just a fear that I had, and it's a fear that all kids have when they choose to make a disclosure. They are so afraid to say, this is what's happened to me. This is my story. So we really owe it to our kids to provide safe spaces for them to disclose what's happening. And that is why I am so passionate about ChildSafe Australia and what they do, because if it wasn't for that coach, maybe I would have shut down again like I had many years before. The absolute incredible work that ChildSafe does in making places safe for kids, and I'm not just talking homes, I'm talking about organisations, because sometimes home isn't safe, right? Businesses and places and schools and clubs and soccer practice and footy practice and going to church, right? They're places that kids go where they meet other adults who they learn to trust, who they can speak to. And it's because of those adults that they disclose. And so we have to have good practices in place so these kids can learn that this person's safe. And so when they make that report, that person goes, do you know what? I've had some great training from ChildSafe Australia and I know exactly what to do with this disclosure. I know exactly how to support this child. And so that is why I am here tonight. That is why I'm speaking. And I am a ChildSafe champion. And it's for that reason, because of my story, that I share. And I'm a walking testimony that you can get over it. Okay? Some people say that, like, oh, just get over it already. I get that, and it sounds a bit cliche, but you can overcome, and you can overcome because you become resilient and you push through and you make a choice, even in the small things, even when it's hard, even when you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, even when you're totally petrified because you got to speak up about something and it hasn't quite left you yet. Making the choice every day to be brave, you can get to this space. And I'm not perfect at all. I've just done a lot of bloody work, okay? And I've had to do that because it is my absolute passion, my conviction to break open these cycles of abuse through sharing my story. I have support groups, I have a website, I have blogs. I do everything that I can in order to empower other people to share and to speak up. But also because my heart is for this organisation tonight, especially if I can encourage you that if you've got some money laying around, forego that $5 coffee and throw it this way, because there's still a lot of organisations that need support from ChildSafe Australia. There's a lot of kids that need support. And again, we've been in such a drastic, unprecedented time with COVID-19. And these guys really, really do incredible work. And I'm not just saying that because they're like, oh, we're going to make you a ChildSafe champion and, you know, come and join us. They've actually become close friends of mine and they support me. And when you've got people who are in touch with their humanity, that they're willing to share, that they're willing to love you as a person, in spite of anything else, it's not just about the organisation. They really, really care about people. And so I wouldn't sit here and share my heart with people I didn't believe in that could really make a difference. So I say that, and I thank you, Neil and Joe, particularly because you guys have always supported me with everything I've done, and absolutely 100% grateful for that, because I can't do what I do without connections, without these amazing people coming on board and supporting me. So yeah, Neil, I see you back again.
Yeah, you're amazing. I mean, seriously, I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. you know, the reality is that your vulnerability and your honesty is what inspires us so much. You know, a lot of people walk around and they're just like, man, you know, there's statistics right now that says, like, if a child disclosed, only 1 out of 3 adults would actually believe them, even though 98% of people who disclose, children who disclose, it's actually true. And so what you're sharing is a story where you did disclose and 1 adult listened, and like you said, you just don't know who would be there. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Kel, and we're going to get you back for the panel. Let's give it up for Kel. Lots of clapping emojis. Woo!
Thank you.
Thanks, Kel. All right, so thank you so much. You are doing a cracking job. I want to just quickly let you know of the donations. I want to thank Dave from Emu Plains. He gave $250. Kirsten gave $10. Bob from Revsby gave $50. John from Box Hill South gave $250 one-off dollars, and it's just fantastic to see the tally going up. And soon we will tell you that tally. We're going to cross live to Nick Love Cartoons right now. What have you drawn, Nick?
Oh, what a powerful story Kelly gave. It was just an amazing story. But here's the picture. There's that saying that knowledge is power, and I've drawn a picture of a book with the power socket, if you can see that there.
Yeah.
Imagine if Kelly's story hadn't been told. The power in that knowledge would not have been able to power her bright future that she has now. So if you think about it, when kids disclose their story, if they don't have someone equipped to hear that story properly, there's that disconnect between the book of knowledge and their future, if that makes sense. So I think
that's really, really good. And you're right, knowledge is power. And when people are willing to listen to the children, and if they are going to disclose, that can change things. So thanks, Nick. We'll cross live soon.
No worries.
So now I just want to have a bit of a sponsor spot for those people who have sponsored. The first one we want to talk about tonight is Educate to Empower Publishing, run by author Janine Sanders, and also husband Mark. They develop resources, including books about body safety. Janine has authored many books, including some that have been translated in many languages and different countries. She's partnered with World Vision overseas. She's done incredible work. She's passionate about protecting children through educating parents and teachers, and also children on body safety. We've partnered with them at different occasions, and in my opinion, Janine is one of the best authors in this space, and her resources are incredible. Some of the best in her field. So we want to thank them very much for your sponsorship tonight. It's e2epublishing.info. So to find out more, make sure you do. If you're a parent, you need to get some of their books. If you're an educator, you need to get some of their books as well. So thanks so much for sponsoring. Our second sponsor we want to thank is Kick for Life. That's a soccer coaching business run by Ashley Good, the president of South Yarra Soccer Club. She couldn't be with us, unfortunately, tonight. There was an incident she had to deal with. So, but she sends her apologies, and she's massively passionate for what we do. Ashley was going to speak tonight in the panel. Kick for Life is a business that focuses on children having a go at soccer, building up life skills and empowering them for the real world. So head to kickforlifesoccer.com.au to find out more. And thank you so much for helping us out tonight. We really appreciate it. Now I'm going to introduce our second speaker tonight. And he is an NRL referee. He owns a gym with his wife, and he's also a survivor of child sexual abuse. His name is Gavin Badger, all the way from Sydney. Give it up to him. Lots of clapping emojis. Hey, welcome, Gavin.
Hey, mate, I don't usually get clapped in my occupation. I'm usually booed. To get clapped is quite a good thing. Just quickly, how amazing was Kelly, that story? And
wow.
You know, and the strength in which and passion in which he speaks. It's an inspiration to everyone, and strong survivors like that can only encourage other people to feel safe and comfortable to tell their story. So thank you so much, Kelly. That was outstanding.
It was. Absolutely. Now, so NRL, right? So NRL right now, they don't have any crowds. You're used to getting booed. How's it like being not booed by the cardboard cutouts?
I've actually had to tease some of the security guards up and some of the people in the tunnel to boo me as I run out, just so I feel at home. So do my job properly.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I wanted to let you know that I'm really thankful that you could be here, Gavin. We met each other because Damien Ryder, one of our ChildSafe champions, he focused on his story as well, and it just so happens that you were around when he was doing a paddle over in Bali at the time, and you heard about us, and here we are today. So tell us a little bit about your story and why you're passionate about telling it. Yeah,
and I'll sort of just touch on the meeting with Damien first. And my wife and I were in Bali over Christmas 2 years ago, just on a little break to get away over summer, and just happened to coincide with Damien Ryder doing one of his paddle against child abuse during Child Abuse Awareness Week. And so coincidentally, it was on while we were there. So my wife sort of pushed us in a direction that we're going to do it. It was quite an early morning for, I think it was a Tuesday morning in Bali. We went out and then I, listened to Damien's story and then spoke to him afterwards, and having never told my story only my wife knew about. It sort of encouraged me to sort of, if I saw someone like Damien who is this, strong sort of, male figure, and it sort of made me think, if this guy can tell his story, why shouldn't I with the small platform that I do have? So we went back to the hotel afterwards, and I sort of put together a social media post. I was just going to post about going out and trying to get people to support Damien, and I just kept writing, and the next thing I know, I'm pressing send on it, and a tweet that sort of outed me as a survivor of child sexual abuse. Which was pretty scary and daunting at the time, because there was family members in that I hadn't told. So that was pretty daunting, but the response I got was outstanding. Even through that, there was some media people that follow me on some of my social medias, and then so there were some stories in the papers and stuff like that. So that got the ball rolling. And then from there, I sort of thought, well, what do I want to do with this platform that I have now, and how can I do that? So I spoke to Damien and a few other people about, where I want to put some time and help and some causes. And you guys were the first people that Damien sort of said to me, this is something that I support, and I feel is something that you could have some impact with. So that's our connection. That's how we got together. So, just fortunate that I happened to be in Bali and that Damien was there doing his thing. Otherwise, who knows?
That's amazing. And you did share on social media your story. What is your story, Gavin?
Yeah, so as an 11-year-old, so as a young kid, I was a pretty out there sort of kid. I was I grew up in a household with five kids, single mum. So we were pretty loose and latchkey, and even at a young age, I was sort of walking to school by myself, and I was hanging out and doing it. In a different time, it was late 70s, so that's what we did. There was groups of kids hanging out and stuff like that. So I was sort of running around the streets a bit and stuff, but really good kid, happy, enjoyed sports, played sports. Similar to Kelly's story, I played any sport I could. Wasn't great at any of them, but I loved it and really enjoyed playing sport. So that was sort of where it was. And then with that, with having a mother with 5 kids and all the kids playing sports, it was hard to get people to sports and stuff like that. And this is where my story sort of happens. At 11 years old, a family friend sort of started to offer to help out, take me to sport, take me to football training, take me to these different events that I had. And that's where they got their opportunity to be alone with me, and that's where my story is, and that's where my sexual abuse happened. So 11 years old, had some pretty despicable things done to an 11-year-old, which changed my character and changed my whole youth. I lost my whole, teens and stuff like that. Was threatened after the abuse, was pointed to a cupboard in the corner of the room. Said, open the door, there was a gun in the cupboard, and said that, if you tell anyone, that gun's for you and your family. So as an 11-year-old, that's, terrifying. You're in fear virtually. Similar to Kelly's story, that, I had a younger brother as well. And so I was told that if I didn't, do these acts and stuff like that, well, I'll just go and get him. So there was also that on my mind as well, and trying to protect my younger brother. So yeah, my story doesn't go over a long period of time though, because for me, similar thing, I didn't find my house as being a safe place, so I just never went home. So I ended up being a bit of a street kid. So all through my teens, I just knock around the streets of Redfern and Waterloo, sleeping on friends' couches, sleeping in friends, the backs of people's cars and stuff like that. I still had a home to go to, so I had somewhere to go and shower, and I'd spend minimal time there. And don't really have a connection with my family from that. Not a close family. So yeah, it had massive impacts on my life from one person's act. One person's callous act has changed my whole life. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that is horrific. And I know that, we're on a Facebook Live, so we can't go into deep details, but I can see the pain in your face of the trauma of how you've, and I know you're doing really well, but the reality is that being a child sexual abuse survivor, it weighs so heavy on you, and it's something that you never forget. And I'm interested to know what kind of emotions rose within you once that abuse did occur?
So like I said, I was a pretty laid back sort of knockabout kid and had lots of friends. And I remember, and for me, my abuse happened in the transition from primary school to high school. So, and that's a big jump in your life as well.
Yeah, transition, yeah.
Well, then having to, make new friends and stuff like that at high school, and and I tried to be someone I wasn't, and I become a bit of a bully, in my early years of high school, because that was my I pushed it all out, and I also started taking drugs really young as well. So I remember smoking marijuana at 12 years old, like in year 7 at high school, and then progressing on to, speed and cocaine. So all through that, from 15 till 18, I went off the rails a fair bit. And at the time, I didn't realise that, what I was doing was, a result of what had happened to me. To me, it was just, that's what I did. And like I said, growing up around in the inner city of Sydney, and being a bit of a street kid, there's access to that stuff, and I saw that a lot. So it just seemed to be that's what people in our area did. So yeah, it definitely changed who I was as a teenager. I left school early, I left school at 16, where you look at all my report cards and stuff leading up to my abuse, and I was quite a good student, but post that, I my grades and stuff were still pretty good, but my attitude in class, same thing. The way I interacted with teachers changed. I was a lot more standoffish, and a little bit of a smart mouth and stuff like that. So it definitely changed who I was over a really short period of time.
Yeah, I just want to say, you are a survivor, because statistics would show that suicide is massive amongst child abuse victims. And
and I'm not going to sit here and say it never ever passed, was a thought in my mind, and many times, and every day it's a battle, pushing stuff down. And I know for a long time, from probably my late teens to mid 20s, I really suppressed a lot of stuff. I pushed a lot of stuff down, and it actually got to points in my life where I had to. Did that really happen to me because I pushed it down so far and tried to hide it so much? Because I was embarrassed. To me it was something that I felt like it was something that I bear the stigma for. So I was just really embarrassed of what happened to me, which as an adult now, and someone who's sort of in a position where I'm strong enough to stand up and say, it's nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? I was the poorest child who had to deal with it. So, and in saying that though, like I talk about, and I hear people say, I'm the person I am today because of it. And I remember the first time I'd sort of spoken to a group of people about my story, and I was asked a question about, would you be the person you are today, and the strength, and I said yes. And I really regret saying that, because to me, I think I'd be better. You know what I mean? The potential and all that, I could be so much better. I missed out on so much, and I didn't do so many things where if this didn't happen to me, who knows? I may be worse, but I could be better as well. So, and that's why I always say, to me, I'm a survivor. I'm not a victim, because survivor gives me strength.
Yeah.
It makes me, I'm the strong one here because I survived. Where if I say I'm a victim, that gives the abuser the power and the strength. So, I always push the fact that I am a survivor.
You and Kel are survivors every day you get up, man. You guys are survivors every time you get up out of bed, and you keep moving forward. That's huge, because the reality is that there's people who have been sexually abused as a child, and they're even on their deathbed and they still haven't told anyone. The fact that you have, I want to talk about that, because you actually told people. What was it like getting it out of you for the first time, and what has happened since?
The scariest thing I've ever done in my life, and I've done some pretty wild things, especially when I was younger. But it was, because you just never know what the response is going to be. And for me, like I said, there was always that stigma around it, and you just don't know if people are going to. You don't want pity. You don't want people to feel like you're broken. You just don't want to be treated differently. I didn't want people to have a different opinion of me, or to pity me or stuff like that. I don't want pity. It was, and I was 35 years before I told anyone. 35 years I carried it before I told anyone, and I was lucky that I had Casey, my wife Casey, who's who she was the first person that I spoke to, and I could be really comfortable with that in speaking to her, because I knew I knew she would respond the right way. But it did take a while, before I told her that we were together for a while as well. So once I told Casey, that made it a lot easier for me to go forward. But then my other thing is, I wanted to get to a position where I could stand up in front of people like this, although I'm not face to face with people, and be strong when I'm telling my story. And the big thing around that is, I was lucky enough that after I did post that stuff on Facebook, I spoke to my the other NRL referees. So we've got a full-time squad of 22 referees, and I asked them if they'd be comfortable with me standing up and telling my story graphically in all its glory. So that, because to me, I thought, well, if I can stand up in front of people that I class as family and really close to me, and I could do it and be strong and not lose it and stuff like that, then I could go forward and I could do things to maybe help other people. And I wanted to do it whenever I talk. I want to be strong. I don't want to break down. I want to try and be strong when I do it. And to their credit, they were straight away said, "Yep, we'd love for that to happen." So I remember standing up in front of 22, it was probably 25 of staff of my peers and people that I really respect and hold in high regard. And the response I got from them was outstanding as well. So that put me on a track for them to be able to stand up in front of people and tell my story. It gets hard sometimes, and there are parts of it where you start to get a little bit emotional. I've got to pull myself in.
By the way, like, that's actually okay to get emotional. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that we want to put that strong persona and say, yep, we want to get their story across, but sometimes getting our story across actually comes with emotion, and that's what people connect with as well.
Yeah, it is, and it never gets easier. Like, I think I just get a little bit better at doing it every time. But it's hard when you're talking about something, then you start thinking and you start visualizing, and they're the stuff that you've tried to push away for a long time. But I know once I told my story, and once I put it out there, the responses from people that I've never met in my life, especially through social media, and that's the power of social media when it's used right.
Yeah.
You know, I've had interactions and contact with people, you know, many people now that I continue to contact with, and, you know, just might be just, you know, when they're down, they'll send me a message or whatever, and, you know, and it could be just a thing that picks them up. And same for me, you know, like I said, I'm fortunate enough that I've got my wife who's fairly strong, but sometimes you need to speak to someone else who's been through the same situation. So I've got a really good crew of people around that. There's some people that, you know, that are some high profile people as well that's still scared to tell their story, that now we're starting to get to a point where they're, you know, seriously considering telling some people as well that I've been dealing with. So I often talk about, you know, my career as a rugby league referee. I've had a long career and done it for a long time, but my proudest moments are the stuff that I'm doing now.
Wow. I mean, that's so huge because, you know, as an organisation, we're passionate about giving people the voice to be able to share their story, because we know the power of when you actually share what's going on in your heart and in your life, the power of that gives to someone else to be able to open up for their story is so real. We know that if someone doesn't actually share their story, if someone doesn't disclose as a child, it takes around 25 years for them to disclose, and that becomes an adult. That's 25 years they're carrying that burden, that pain. You know what I mean?
And it's a tough burden to carry, because it affects every day, and it can affect at different times. Like some days you have good days, and other days, and you know, it's hard to keep it together. And it could be just the fact that sitting down watching a TV show and something happens in a TV show, bang, triggered. You know, It could be, you know, it could be a smell. You know, for me, there's some smells and certain things, and you just go bang, back to it. As much as I try and suppress it, there's things that always take you back to it. And, you know, and it's hard every day where you've got to, you know, carry yourself and be this person, especially for me in my occupation and that as well. It's all about, you know, you've got to have this certain sort of, you know, way you carry yourself every single day. And if you're down here or there, you know, it can be, yeah, you don't know how people are going to then perceive you. So yeah, it's a pretty heavy burden, but you know, you get through it.
Yeah. Gavin, we obviously need to wrap up now, and I could talk to you all day, just like I could do with Kelly, and we've had so many chats offline. But I do want to ask you one final question before we get to our next spot. Why should people support ChildSafe and donate towards this cause? Because you know, you have worked with a number of other different organisations. What is it about ChildSafe that you love so much?
Just the fact that we're looking at, you know, firstly, we're protecting our most valuable assets. You know, we want to make sure that kids are able to live the life they live and be the best they can be, and not be interfered with, you know, and have that taken away from them. And then, you know, with ChildSafe, it's about getting in and enabling people to see the signs, enabling people to understand how to help, and making sure that, you know, we get on this really quickly or before we are. It's about preventing. You know, we don't want to be always saying, oh, well, how do we help survivors?
Yeah.
You know, we want to be helping survivors. We don't want it to be happening.
Yeah.
So the more information and the more knowledge that people have, the much better we are equipped to prevent, you know, what is, you know, probably the worst thing that can ever happen, you know, to a young child.
Well, Gavin, thanks so much for sharing your story, for being vulnerable, being real. And, you know, I know that especially as a man in society, that's sometimes shunned, which is shouldn't never happen, but it does. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that thank you so much for sharing your story. We're going to get you back for the panel. I will say goodbye now, but thank you so much, mate.
No problem at all. Thanks, Neil.
Cheers. All right. Well, we have been having a lot of donations coming in. I want to just acknowledge some of those already. We've had $100 donation from Stuart, a $50 donation from Ben, $250 donation from Ben, from Rhodes, $50, Joe from Erskine Park, $50, Trevor from Kingston, $50, $100 one-off donation from Stuart. We have had other donations as well, which I'm trying to get to my store here. $100 from John from Wellington. Chris from Wynnum North, $500. Thank you so much, Chris. We really appreciate that. Dave from North Parramatta as well, $50, which is really, really exciting. And I've got a tally for you right now. The tally so far is $4,380. Lots of clapping emojis. Woo! This is fantastic. We've never done this before. We are really, really excited. We're going to cross live straight to Nick Love Cartoons. What have you drawn, mate?
Oh, what a joyous bloke Gavin was. From the first moment I saw his beard, I just was full of such joy. So I wanted, a lot of the pictures were a bit dark. A lot of the content we're talking about tonight is very dark, but there is such joy when someone can get through this story and come out the other side. So I've drawn Gavin. People are actually cheering for him. He's saying I'm a survivor and maybe one day I'll umpire real footy. So what an absolute legend Gavin is. Yeah, superstar.
Gavin's on the screen right now. What do you want to say, Gavin? Real football.
Mate, rugby league is real football.
Running backwards and throwing it weirdly. I'm not sure.
I do love all sports, though. I'm a pretty big AFL fan as well.
What do you think? What do you think of the beard, Gavin, on that picture?
Yeah, he's done well. He's done well.
Looks pretty good. All right, guys.
The crowd's cheering.
We'll cross back to you later on, mate. All right, so let's just thank a couple of other sponsors. Duty of Care. Now, Duty of Care have developed a system to manage checking of working with children checks across our nation. It's fast and it's going to help organisations to ensure that people leading the children are the right people at the right time and they are safe people. And we're looking forward to partnering with them in the coming months. So you can head to dutyof.care for more info, and we just want to say thanks to Cam and the team there for their incredible support, and especially their donation tonight and their sponsorship. We also want to thank EA Insurance Services. Ash and the team do an incredible job there. They're a wonderful business who are helping many churches and other organisations in their insurance needs. They're passionate about keeping children safe, and they give a lot back to the community, which is amazing. And the CEO, Ash, there is one of the best guys you ever meet. And we look forward to moving forward with them in the future as well. And thank you so much for their support. Head to eainsurance.com.au for more info. And thanks again for your sponsorship. We also want to thank Scripture Union Victoria for their support of ChildSafe. Scripture Union, which is where ChildSafe birthed out of originally. Scripture Union Victoria, they help manage chaplains in schools. They run camps for young people. They work closely with businesses and other organisations to empower children and young people of all ages. And you can head to suvic.org.au for more info. I think that's going to come up on the screen now. Thanks, Rodney. And we want to thank them again for their support. Now, it's hit just over 8 o'clock. We just want to thank you so much for your donations. Remember that when you donate $100 or more, you get the Raising Resilient Kids book that we will deliver to you. You don't have to worry about it. We've got your details from your donation. We'll make that happen for you in the coming weeks. And also, if you donate over $200 or over, you also get Levi McGrath's new album, old album, Coming Home, which is amazing. Or you can grab both, and we can make that happen as well. So, which is really exciting. So we are going to get our third speaker tonight. He's going to do an interview with me. His name is Corey Philpott. Corey is an ultra endurance athlete and strongman. He goes out for 50K runs just for the fun of it, and even 100K runs. He's amazing. And in next year, he's going to attempt a world record. Let's welcome Corey Philpott. Woo! Lots of clapping emojis. Yeah.
Hey, Neil, how you going?
Hey, Corey. Thanks so much for coming on board.
Thanks for having me, man. It's an honor.
Hey, look, I can see all the weight stuff in the background. We know that you are training for something really cool. Can you tell us what world record you're going for? Is it for how many meatballs you can eat in one night?
Oh, I wish. I probably could hold the world record for that if I tried. It'd be pretty cool. No, so in 2021, I'm going to attempt the world's strongest marathon. It's been done by 3 different people, to my knowledge. And the world record for the world's strongest marathon is 19 hours and 36 minutes. So what the world's strongest marathon is, I'll tow a car behind me for 42.2 kilometers. It has to be over 1.4 ton, but I need to try and beat 19 hours.
This is my emoji. Anyone got that? Put that down there, because you know what? That's crazy.
It's pretty wild.
That's amazing, man. So 42.2, you're going to pull a 2-ton car, and just for fun, yeah? Is that right?
It was going to be just for fun. It was going to be to test myself. I'm always looking to push my body towards that next level and see how far I can go. But then, something happened, and I know someone really close to me has told me a story, and it guess turned my life on its head. I guess I could say.
So you've just heard from 2 incredible people, Gavin and Kelly, being survivors of child sexual abuse. Now, you are not a survivor of child sexual abuse. I want to make that very clear. Yeah. However, you know someone really close to you who is. When was your first encounter to realise how dire the circumstances are with child abuse in Australia?
So probably about 6 months ago is when I found out this person that was really close to me had been sexually abused as a child. And I guess I was okay with it at that time because, they were okay. Nothing really seemed to happen. And something happened further down the path, which was quite triggering for this person. And that really started to play an effect on my life. And then I got talking to a mate, Dave, and he'd been through a very, very similar situation. And that's when we got talking, and we got talking about our great friend, Damien Ryder. And as I got
keep popping up, doesn't he, Damien Ryder? If you're watching, comments.
He comes up a lot, doesn't he? Yes, then I got started talking to him, and he guided me to come speak to you at ChildSafe, and it's just something that I guess since I first heard about child abuse, I had never really heard much about it at all, and I guess that's what has made me so passionate after looking at all these statistics coming up, and I think it's just a big slap in the face of me going, holy crap, what is going on in our world?
Yeah. And what was your first feeling when you that person that's really close to you, what was your first kind of feeling when you found out that she'd been sexually abused as a child?
Angry. A lot of anger, because I have a lot of love for this person, and I was just built up with anger. To be honest, that was my first initial feeling. Once you talk about it, that anger's never going to leave me. Until the person that I love is fully healed. I guess I'm a very protective person, so this anger is never going to leave me, but I just need to find different ways to support this person and not lay off this anger that I'm feeling, which is something that tended to be quite difficult at the start. But now, as we talk more and more, and it's becoming not okay, but it's becoming better.
Right. So, and you said to me in off live chats, you said that that person is still out there. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel a bit worried. To be honest, a bit worried, a bit frustrated that someone like that gets to walk freely. But there's I'm not too focused on that. I'm more focused on helping my loved one heal, and that's what means the most to me right now, is making sure that they're okay.
See, that's what I want to say. You know, I've got to know you over a few months, and I just want to say the way in which you've supported, that person close to you has been amazing, mate. Because at the end of the day, survivors of child sexual abuse, whatever stage they're at in terms of whether they have, had that person to court or even told the police or anything like that, the reality is the first lesson when it comes to someone disclosing to us is we need to listen, we need to take it seriously, and we need to be willing to journey with them. And that's something that you're doing. Now, tell us a little bit about how this world record attempt, and I'm going to say it's not really an attempt because I believe you're going to smash it, mate.
Yeah, I believe I am too. Yeah.
Yeah, but how does that connect with ChildSafe? Like, what does a world record do with with ChildSafe? What are you planning to do with us?
Well, first of all, it's my passion to push myself beyond these limits, put myself in these painful situations, and I will never be able to feel what a survivor feels. I will never know that pain. I will never know that hurt. But I sure as hell, through the platform of the world's strongest marathon, that it has potential to turn heads worldwide. Now, definitely nationally and maybe globally. And child abuse is happening on a global scale. It's not just in Australia. And that's another really scary thing. And I feel like through the world's strongest marathon, there's a greater cause that I could be supporting, and that is child abuse. Is why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, and look, what you're planning to do, you said you want to raise money for ChildSafe.
Yep.
So you're going to do a fundraising side of things, but also you want to get as much support as we can for to prevent child abuse. And I know you're passionate about making sure people know the signs of abuse and those sorts of things. I wanted to just ask you, what does it take to train for something like this? And while you're training, do you have the change of child safety in Australia that you want to see in your mind while you're training?
Oh, 100%. Because look, I'm going to give myself an 8-month training block for something that like this is myself, and so I want to be ready for it. But definitely, even when I'm not training for something like this, even now, I'm not even in my training block. But I never want to see someone go through what I'm seeing my loved one go through. And that's what is that's what's a constant reminder. To be honest, that's what is the constant reminder for me to go, holy crap, no one should ever have to go through this. Even if you are the naughtiest child in the world, you should never have to go through what my loved one and Gavin and Kelly have ever had to go through. You know, it's very scary. Like Gavin and Kel, like this is someone that was trusted and was very close to them. You know, like that's what the scariest part to me is. I have a son now, and you know that's what is. You know, I don't want anything ever happening to him, God forbid. But you know, this is why I'm so passionate. I just need to spread the message, and you know what you're doing through ChildSafe is giving people the tools and the knowledge of how to see the signs and I guess how to overcome it if something is to happen.
Let's talk about that for a minute. You and I are both fathers. I've got 3 incredible kids, and you've got 1. It's something I never really thought about, to be honest with you, when my kids were when I didn't have children. Like I didn't really think about child safety. I did when I was youth pastoring and things like that, but you know, I didn't really watch out for other kids, or like I just didn't have that kind of mindset until leading this organization. As a parent, has it changed your perspective now that you know a lot of these statistics? I know you spent a lot of sleepless nights looking at this stuff. What's happened in your psyche now as a dad?
Well, like as I said before, before hearing this story from my loved one, and you know, before even having a child, never even thought, nothing ever came to my brain about child abuse ever. And it's because A, I wasn't exposed to it, and B, it was just never around. Like I never saw anything about it, so it never came to the forefront of my mind. And then once I started, once I heard this from my loved one and started, as you said, doing my own research, it blew me away. And every time I look at my son, I'm thinking, how could that happen to an innocent child that, knows nothing, literally knows nothing about the world? That's what the most scariest thing is to me. And it's just, all about protecting him, I guess. Making sure everyone is okay.
That's right. And I think what you've hit on is that child safety is everyone's responsibility.
Yep.
You might be the dad of that child, but when you drop that child off at daycare at some point, then therefore it is that daycare's responsibility to make sure that they do everything they can to keep children safe. Yeah, would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Whether it be sporting club, whether it be a church, etc. And the truth is the Royal Commission into Institutional Response to Child Sexual Abuse, what that did is that took away a lot of the trust. Organisations aren't as trusted anymore. And as a dad, you can't implicitly trust an organisation anymore. You can't do it, because the reality is we can't do that anymore, because statistics will show that at some point there has been something. We spent a lot of time with one of the Royal Commissioners, and he said no organisation in anywhere, any type of organisation can ever say that abuse can't happen here, because it has and it can. And so, so as a dad, what sort of questions would you like to ask organisations to make sure children are safe?
As we spoke about on my podcast, is that I ran around the football field as a young kid, and now looking back at it, it's like, holy hell, like you were at a really vulnerable position then, just getting dropped at the Oval and staying there all day and kicking the footy with your mates. As a child, you don't really think much of it, and the questions I guess that I would ask an organisation is, what are the plans that you've got in place to keep my child safe? What are the safety measures? Have you got, police check clearances for volunteers and all this kind of stuff? Have you got working with children's checks and all this kind of stuff? Those are the type of questions that I'd be asking any organisation that I sign my kid up for.
That's good, because we actually created a resource called 5 Safety Questions, and those 2 are actually on there. So well done. Yeah, awesome. But what we found, the reason why we didn't, is because parents don't ask that question. Yeah. They put their trust in the organisation. They expect their children to be safe, but the reality is that they are not always safe. And I think the thing is that you'll find as you continue to get older with your child and you interact with other dads, the truth is that a lot of dads and mums don't know what their children are on the internet. Yeah. They don't know what they're on. They don't know even where they are sometimes. Like it's an interesting world we live in, and we at ChildSafe are really passionate about educating parents, just like you, on how important it is. I want to finish this one other question with you, and that is, when it comes to signs of abuse and things like that, how important do you think it is that parents understand that?
Oh, it's so important, and as I think we heard say with Gav, that the parents are not neglect. I don't know how the word to put it, but not that they don't listen, but they're like, nah, he couldn't do that. Old Johnny boy down the road, no, he would never do that to you.
Yeah.
It is all about listening, and if your child comes to you and says, hey, my this guy has been touching me on the leg or something, maybe it's time you investigate it. It's something that could be quite minute, but you need to take these little signs of acting weird and someone wanting to get really close to your child who maybe shouldn't be. And it sounds like this could be a person you trust, but they want to hang out a bit more. Like, yeah, you can come over and play. Like little things like that, maybe just be a little bit more wary. But, 90% of the people that are around you, that you love, you should trust. Like, don't go into some crazy, mind saying, "Oh, I'm not going to trust anyone," blah blah blah. Don't go and have all that. But it's just staying wary and keeping an open mind that this stuff does happen.
That's right. And I think that's what's opened your mind, hasn't it? Because of this circumstance of your loved one, it's actually opened your mind to actually, it does happen, and it does happen by people that you know. I wanted to say thank you for your time. I really appreciate your investment. I also want to say a massive thank you to you for putting yourself through the most craziest endurance athlete stuff. I don't even know the language, but we just want to say thank you. And you know what? We want you to know that you're gonna smash it, right? 42.2. It's in the bag. I can't even run that yet. I'm training, but I'm not there yet.
You're gonna get there, Neil.
Okay, that's right. However, you're going to smash it, mate, and you're going to do a great job. And I look forward to partnering with you. We look forward to partnering with you, and especially with in respect to this event that you're going to be running. So thank you so much. And Nick has got a cartoon for you.
I do. I've drawn Corey towing a Matchbox car. So someone's in the crowd going, "It's only a Matchbox car." It's a really heavy Matchbox car, and that Matchbox car represents the burden of a child, and that is really heavy. So whilst it's only a Matchbox car, you're towing more than just a car. It's the burden of all those children that you're trying to help. What a superstar.
What a superstar. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it, mate. Hey, thanks, Corey. Really appreciate it. And stick around. Keep commenting. I'm loving what you're saying in the Facebook feed. Cheers, mate. All right. We want to thank a couple of sponsors. We have got one question, and I neglected to say this at the start, but for this event, our target tonight is $10,000. That is what we're looking at, $10,000. And we would love to get there with your help. And we'd love to get some monthly donations as well, so we can continue to do those programs and develop those trainings and help those kids that we don't know and never will meet but need our help. I want to thank Ash, $50 donation, Rosie from Abion, $50 donation, Jeffrey from Spence, $500 donation. Thank you so much. This person put E. So E, thanks for $200 donation. You're amazing. Ellie from St. Clair, $50 donation. Suzanne from St. Clair, $100 donation. You are flipping amazing. I'm allowed to say that. I'm going to anyway. I'm really excited by this. And let's see if we can get to that $10,000. And the next promo spot after the panel in a second, then we'll give another tally. Is that all right, Rodney? Yes? Okay, fantastic. All right, let's thank a couple more sponsors. We want to thank King Trim Upholstery. These wonderful people really wanted to support us after hearing from Corey, who just spoke then, and also Damien Ryder, what we do and how we are helping children. They're based in Sydney. They have 20 years experience specialising in restoration, custom marine, commercial upholstery using old school techniques and skills. So we want to say you need to head to Facebook, look up King Trim Upholstery, and make sure you support them because they are supporting us. We also want to thank Leisure Management Excellent, run by John. This business is making waves in the leisure centre space. Do you like that pun? Anyway, it's also they conduct training for staff at different levels, customer service, leadership development, and soon to safeguarding children training in partnership with us, which we are excited. We've developed a specific training with them to run in leisure centres because we know that that is a really important space to be in. We want to thank John for his amazing sponsorship and his support. We're going to throw to a really important video now. We have worked really hard on it with PN Digital, and it features Alex, a survivor of child sexual abuse. Excellent. Wow. This is amazing video. Alex's story. Even though she's not here, I know she's watching, so give her heaps of clap emojis. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Alex. This is a debut video. We're going to put this as an advertising campaign coming up soon. Rodney and I are going to develop that. However, she couldn't be here tonight. She was going to be on our panel, but seriously, what a story, yeah? What a story. And when we put that up, we want you to share that. You are the first to see this video. We spent a long time doing it. We've had a lot of help from editors and took us ages to get the music and all those sort of things. But the story is so powerful. And thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your story. I know you're watching and you're amazing. And I know you wish you could be here. Please take care. And wish you all the best. Well, tonight, our final segment, I know you've been waiting for this, is our panel. And we are going to introduce our panel in just a moment. But let me just remind you that your donations are making a huge difference. We thank you for everyone who's donating. You are doing an incredible job. We want to get to our 10,000 target tonight. So share the word, text message, do whatever you need to do to help us get there. That would be great. Enables us to do programs, training, and help parents all the way. And obviously to help those children that we never know, we'll probably never meet, but really desperately need our help. We also want to thank again our sponsors and all those people doing great things. I want to take this opportunity to let you know that if you're an organisation who works with children, we would love to have a conversation with you. We'd love to partner with you and to make a difference with you, to help and create safer environments with you. We would love to do that. So please get in touch, info@childsafe.org.au, or you can just go to our website and you can find it there. All right, so we are at our panel now. I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Bethany, and she is 17 years old. She is a child. Hi, Bethany. How you doing?
Going well, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Bethany is a designer. We're about to bring out our new guides, and she has designed that. If you saw the picture of the promotion of this event, you can see that's her drawing. She's done an incredible job. Hey, Bethany, thanks for being here with us. We really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the night.
Absolutely. It's been a privilege to be a part of, and it's wonderful to hear everyone's stories.
Thank you so much. We're also going to bring back Kelly and Gavin. They're also going to be back on the panel as well. And I'm also going to introduce Aaron. Aaron is our host. He's actually in the room behind me, so I'm going to get out the way so he can get in. That's right. Aaron is the CEO and founder of Ultimate Youth Worker. He's had over 20 years experience in this space in child safety. He's worked in some government spaces and also council spaces and church spaces, and he's well placed to interview these wonderful, wonderful people. So over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping around, everyone. It's been mind-blowing just sitting here and hearing all the stories and seeing what people are saying on Facebook and the like. And I just want to thank you all for the time that you've given so far. Bethany, can I start with you? You're 17, as Neil said. You've been involved with ChildSafe for a little while now. As you've been listening to this stuff tonight, what's it kind of brought up for you around the need for child safety training and support out there?
Yeah, well, it's definitely an incredible reminder that it is really important. And I can speak from the position of someone who's both a participant in programs involving children and someone who volunteers as a part of that. And yeah, it's definitely really important to me to know that organizations have my best interest at heart and that they care about me. And yeah, just to know that I'm valued, that's definitely very important. And not many people my age are probably aware of that. So,
and you're right. I don't think the average teenager is aware of the training and that goes on in the background to keep them safe. But so spot on, the need for places like ChildSafe to be doing the training of teachers and sports clubs is really important. Thank you, Bethany. Kelly, I might move to you now and ask a question. As you told your story, I don't think there was any of us in the room here that were anything but fully engaged. Your story is amazing, and the way you tell it is really something that went straight to my heart. So thank you for that. Question I've got for you here is, what motivates you all these years on now to see change in this space? What is it that gives you that motivation?
Yeah, I could probably spend a really long time answering that, but I guess quite simply, it just comes down to not allowing anybody to experience what I have. And I know it's going to happen because we can't stop child abuse. And that's the most unfortunate thing. And I just want to be able to say, yeah, we're going to stop it. We're going to do this, and it's never going to happen again. But that's not realistic. And so the best thing that I can do and the greatest gift that I can give is myself. It's my experience, my vulnerability. It's the lessons I've learned. And yeah, it hurts. And I know, Gavin, you know, you've only just started sharing your story, but as you do get stronger, like, you will open up such incredible pathways for people to connect with you and heal. And that's been my journey. It was very hard to speak the first time, but this amazing thing happens when you start to speak, is people just connect with you because they're like, oh my God, that's my story too. And it's that which keeps me going. It is the people that I know who learn, who start to heal, whose journeys change, whose lives change. And yeah, like I said, it gets hard, but it's because of those things that I continue to do what I'm doing.
Great. Thanks for that, Kelly. One of the points that you mentioned when you were giving your talk was when you started to have that conversation with your coach and the support that they gave you then. We were chatting about it behind the scenes, and that's one of the key reasons that the ChildSafe's around, to give coaches and volunteers and that in sports clubs the ability to be able to have those conversations. Can you tell us a little bit around what it was like for you to have your coach really connect with you and have that conversation and encourage you?
Yeah, I just think it comes down to the fact that she was a safe person, and I really liked spending time with her. And it was, I don't know so much that it was, I knew she would do something about it. It just came out. To be honest, the situation was just that it just fell out of my mouth. It just couldn't stay there any longer. And the fact that she was able to acknowledge, and I think that's the biggest thing for anyone who takes a disclosure, is to acknowledge it. Because as bystanders, or people who are outside of the child or the person, even an adult who's disclosing, sometimes we get this like bystander silence where we go, oh, I don't actually know what to do with that. It's okay if you don't know what to do with it, because it's huge. When somebody trusts you with that information, you've got a choice to make. And if I can encourage you, if you are hearing something, just don't dismiss it. Don't be the person that dismisses it. Say, do you know what? I acknowledge you. I appreciate that you've shared that with me. I actually don't know how to help you, but I'll support you in the process. And let's go find somebody together who can actually, you know, help us further. Like, don't abandon them. Don't get freaked out. You know, yes, it's going to be scary, but they've trusted you with something, and it doesn't matter if you can't help them, but just be willing to sit with them in that space until they can get that help.
Thanks, Kelly. It's so true. We've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. We don't always have to use the mouth. We can use our ears. And a lot of the training that we do is around how do we support people to listen, because sometimes we want to just dive in and fix things, and that's not necessarily what we have to do. We need to be able to build that trust and build that relationship. So thank you for that, Kelly. Gav, I might jump over to you now and talk a little bit about sports and sports clubs. You've been around sporting clubs your whole life, and there's such a a culture within sporting that we're tough, we do our own thing, we hold things together. How important do you believe it is that sporting clubs need to start talking about this stuff?
Oh, I think it's so important. It's funny, I was just speaking to my wife about it around, I think, we need to look at how we better educate our coaches and staff at sporting clubs around just seeing signs and stuff, not intervening because obviously it's not their place, but just understanding the signs and then how they then go about, getting information or working out which best ways to deal with that information. But because I know that I had the same footy coach for a long time from when I started playing rugby league when I was 3 years old. I had the same coach until I was 16. So I've got no doubt, and I've spoken to him now, that he saw changes in me as well, which would have sort of set off some alarm bells, which could have led me into someone to speak to, or even maybe a few leading questions here or there that may allow me to feel safe to open up. So I think, especially for young males, your sporting coaches. For me, I never had a father. I've never met my father, so I never had a father figure to go to. Where I think sometimes sporting coaches can be that sort of trusted, the person that you may feel a little bit more comfortable, exactly like Kelly's story, where you spend so much time. And like I said, I spent a lot of time with the same coach, and I'm still friends with that coach today. Actually, my footy coach was the one who got me into refereeing. And yeah, I've got no doubt that if he'd have seen signs back then, that he may have been able to help. So yeah, and I actually work for, I do some part-time work now with New South Wales Rugby League with junior development of referees. So I work with 16, 15, 17-year-old referees. So it's something that I'm starting to look at in our organisation at New South Wales Rugby League and saying, well, how can we make sure that we are better in this space? I know that everyone in our staff that has anything to do with anyone under 18, we all have to have our working with children check. But how do we go further on that? How do we coach our coaches into understanding and seeing the signs? Because it is a stigma to talk about. People don't talk about child abuse. People don't think about it. So it's something that we need to put at the forefront, especially when we're dealing with vulnerable kids.
Thanks for that, Gavin. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Corey said this earlier. Kelly said this earlier. Even within your story, this was said that child abuse, and particularly the abusers, use their power and position to keep people quiet. And it is something we need as a community to be able to have a conversation about, because it gives young people, children, the opportunity to speak out and to ask questions. You touched on this.
On the flip side, flip side to that as well, we go in and educate our sporting clubs better. A lot of the times, the coaches and managers of football clubs can be the abusers as well.
Exactly.
So if we have an organisation that's better versed in seeing the signs, we may also be able to stem that as well, because another coach or someone else can say, wait up, that doesn't feel right there. So if we're educating people on it, hopefully we can get better results.
Which is a great segue to the question that I had for you, which is how does the opportunity for conversation, for this to be talked about in a space like a sporting club where there is that culture of silence, how is it going to be helpful, not just to the children who may be abused, but to other people who might, as your coach did, notice some changes?
I think there's a huge responsibility on us as adults, especially male adults, to take away the stigma. I look at it the same as the mental health space. For a long time, if you were a professional sportsman, especially, take away the rest of society, there was a stigma around anything to do with mental health. You were seen as weak, or maybe a bit of a weakness in the team if someone was to come out and say that they were struggling mentally. And now it's quite accepted, and we're really having a lot of open conversations around mental health. And I know in our organisation, we've now got a sports psychologist who's on staff with us for us to talk to when we're having any issues around that. And I think that's where we head with this. So people like myself, starting these conversations, I think maybe we get to a point where we start to open up that dialogue around that this is a problem that we're pushing aside and we're trying to hide, on par with mental health and stuff like that, where let's take the stigma away from it. And off the back of that, it's around, if someone says something to you, and Kelly spoke about it before, it's about believing what you're told until otherwise proven different. A lot of times kids will come and say something and it might be a bit out of whack or it might be a bit strange and you're not sure what they're talking about, but it's about believing that child, because kids don't make this stuff up. A lot of time a child will go to an adult, it might not be their parents because they're still, but they may go to an adult and that adult dismisses them, so they won't go again. So it's about if the kid comes to you and you have some concerns, it's about talking and believing that kid and showing that kid compassion, so that they then start to feel comfortable in opening up to adults around someone who's being inappropriate to them. Because I think that's our biggest problem, that a lot of times a child will go to someone that they sort of trust, it's not their parents or whatever, and because of the stigma around it or not wanting to believe that someone that may have done something like this, it sort of gets pushed aside and you sort of brush that person get off. So we need to make sure that that's not happening.
Thanks for that, Gavin. One of the key standards or principles that's in most of the child safety spaces in Australia at the moment is the voice of the child, listening to the voice of the child. And it's one of the key cultural concerns that we work with lots of organisations around dealing with. How do we actually get organisations, people, coaches, educators, pastors to hear the voice of the child in this? And Bethany, I might ask you, how within your spaces, whether that's school or other areas, have you noticed that people are talking about this stuff or engaging with it?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely a massive need for people to talk more about child safety in many different forms, and I think something that can definitely help that is to have people who are setting a great example. So knowing that, letting kids know that they are safe, just trying to be, for me personally, trying to be someone who other kids can talk to, and just trying to set an example and do the best I can in that.
Yeah, great. Do you see anywhere where organisations can work better in this space?
I think it really does come back to just opening up a discussion and talking about it. And we've seen, as was already discussed before, we've seen that mental health issues have become more discussed and people have started to talk about that more, but child safety is a massive thing that really isn't always spoken about anywhere near as often as it should, considering how prevalent it is, as we've seen in the statistics already today. Yeah, definitely just talking about it and opening up conversations with friends about how we can support one another.
Thanks for that, Bethany. Final question for everyone to jump in. What's one piece of advice you'd give a coach or a teacher or a parent who is seeing those little signs, those little things in behaviour that are changing in a young person? What would you give them as a tip for how to have that conversation?
Yeah, I can speak to that firstly if you like. I just know, because in my experience, not only with what I do, but the number of disclosures I've taken and my own personal experience, the worst thing a parent can do is to become angry, okay? So I just encourage any person who hears somebody disclose any type of sexual abuse, you must make the space safe. And that's to make the child or the person disclosing feel calm and non-judgmental, like a non-judgmental safe space for that person. Because Gavin, I think you mentioned it earlier, and I 100% agree, is when a child comes to you and they start to share, if they feel threatened, they're actually going to shut down and they won't share again. They won't trust another adult, and that secret at that point in time will stay silent with that person for who knows how long, until they find someone that they complicitly trust, that, you know, they can share with that secret with. And so we owe it to those sporting clubs, the coaches, to empower them to be able to take disclosures in a safe way, so that these kids can actually get the intervention that they need at the time that they need it. And that's as early as possible, before the abuse continues, before the offences continue, or before it even starts. And that's why we have to have these conversations. That's why this education must exist. So, yeah, make it safe. I know that if you're a parent, you're going to want to say, I'm going to kill him, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, you're going to want to say these things because you're angry. I get it, but please don't do that. Okay, this is the one opportunity that your child has come to you, and they are trusting you with everything that is in them to believe them. That's the biggest thing. Believe them, acknowledge what's going on, stay open with your questions. Don't lead them, because if you need to report this, leading them can actually destroy everything for you. Just say, tell me more about that, then get help, okay? Get help straight away.
Thanks for that, Kelly. Gavin?
Yeah, I'll take it on a little bit of a different track. For me, like my probably biggest, I've got two sort of pieces of advice. Is one, that you should be preemptive with this stuff. So you should speak to your kids, like parents and that should speak to their kids about, you know, consent and stuff like that, and what is consent and what is, you know, appropriate touching and what isn't. And I think there's at any age you can start that, because once a child knows what is and what isn't acceptable, it's much easier for them to then come to you and say, well, we spoke about this. This is what this person did to me. So I think we need to make sure we have those open conversations. Kids are smarter than we think. You know, we don't give them the credit that they're due sometimes. So educate them around, you know, consent. And the other thing is, don't force any time of physicality between people. Like, we often see, like, you know, aunties and uncles come over and there's a young kid there who doesn't want to go to, I'll go and give your auntie a kiss. And we're forcing kids to be in situations that they are uncomfortable with. So it becomes like an accepted thing if you know, it starts with go and give your auntie a kiss and the kid doesn't want to. And then, you know, where can that lead to? Because the kid now feels like they have to do things that they're not comfortable with. So not forcing kids into situations that they're uncomfortable. If the kid doesn't want to give auntie a kiss that day, don't force them. Next week, the kid will probably run up to that auntie and give them a hug and a kiss. You know what I mean? So they're the two sort of the things that I sort of try and push the most with my friends and that who've got young kids around. You know, don't force kids to be, you know, in that situation, and educate the kids. Let them know that this is and isn't appropriate.
Right. Bethany, would you like to add anything to that?
I'd just echo what's already been said. That it's just so important to listen to the people around us and be picking up on any sort of messages they might be telling us, whether that's verbal or not.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the words of wisdom. Hopefully we can all take those on board and help the young people that are around us to feel safer every day and feel that they have a voice and they have people in their corner. Thanks so much. I'm going to hand it back to Neil now. Cheers, everyone.
Hey, thanks so much, Aaron, and thanks so much, panel. You've done a cracking job. You are awesome. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much to you, and we really appreciate you guys for what you've given up. And hey, let's give a massive clappy emojis as well. We're going to cross live to Nick Love Cartoons. I think you're muted, mate. Here you are. What have you got for us?
Oh, look, I was just picturing as the panel was speaking and stuff, you know, what it must look like or feel like for a child to be going through abuse and through that dark spot. You know, they'd feel the shame, they'd feel despair, they'd feel that broken trust, they'd feel they've been in prison, they've been caged by their circumstance. But what does that feel like? What does that child feel like when they're being heard, they're being listened to, and they're on that road to recovery and they're coming into the light? So I've drawn this child jumping for joy. It's come out of his cage, from his cage of circumstance, and coming to the light, and it's into a brand new day. And the reason I love ChildSafe so much is because they align with my view that I want to draw a better tomorrow, and ChildSafe does exactly that. You know, they're helping to draw a better tomorrow for these kids. So every dollar that you donate tonight is fulfilling that vision of seeing children coming into the light, finding that safe place where they've been heard, they've been trusted, and they're on that path to a better, brighter future.
Awesome. Hey, Nick, thanks so much. That is a fantastic drawing. Those people who have donated go into the draw to win these Zoom tunes where Nick will do a Zoom like this and draw you, and he'll even put hair on if you want to. So we will get in touch with that. We'll give Nick the details of those people we've chosen, and we will then he will get in contact with them to get that happening. Let's give Nick a massive hand. Thank you so much, Nick. We really appreciate what you've done.
And everyone, be the key to a brand new day.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we want to thank more donations are coming in thick and fast. Belle from Kingsgrove, $200. Thank you so much. Stuart from Mudgiraba, I can't pronounce that, but $200. Thank you. Cassandra from Abbotsbury, $100. Thank you. Sue and Rob from Burnie, $25. And also Walter from Narrabeen, $200. Kerry from Mania, $50. Karen from Victoria, $200. Wow, Joel from Brayside, $500. That is just such an amazing. Thank you so much. Every donation counts. Rodney, SNA Stairs donated $500. So that is Corey's business. Corey works for that business, and they have got on there, supported us, and donated $500. And also I've got a total so far. We just had another $25 from Sky as well that tipped us over, and our tally is now a massive $9,015 right now. I want to see if we can get this to the $10,000. Now, just quickly, we're going to bring Kelly back because she has something really exciting to share with us. Kelly.
Hey guys, how's it going? So I was going to mention this earlier when I spoke, but I forgot to turn my stopwatch on, so I forgot. But guys, I am an author, and I have written a book about my story. So it is Unscathed Beauty. And for this week only, what I'm going to do is for every book ordered off my website, that's www.kellyhumphries.com. Look at that. I'm going to donate a portion of that back to ChildSafe Australia. So if you're looking for something that is not only going to empower you, see, I've worn a lot of hats when I wrote this book, and it's not only from my perspective, but it actually shares parts of my mother's story and really goes into the heart of what's happening in child abuse, but in a way that is not confronting. Like I've not actually read a child abuse book from front to cover. Okay. Wow. So a lot of people have commented, and I'm not saying this because I want you to buy my book. I'm saying this because this is what people have said, is that it's very uplifting. And for a child abuse book to be uplifting, I don't know how I've managed that. That's a, amen moment. But it is just to present something to you that's profound and difficult in a way that is able to be easily understood. So a lot of people have gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight from that. And, that's my gift to the world. That was my challenge I set myself, and I've done it. Writing book 2 now. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you. So you can get that from my website. But for the next 7 days from today, any books that are purchased from my website, a portion of that will go back to ChildSafe. So get buying that book, guys. But yeah, if I could just shout out to Neil, I have just started 2 very powerful online talking shows, I guess, which I'm going to turn into podcasts. But one of them is Talk and Tell with Holly and Kel. We are talking about everything about child abuse, from child pornography to everything we've spoken about tonight with safe touches and all of that sort of stuff. And it's just it's free. It's open for anyone to watch, just to empower and educate. It's really powerful, and just to lead. It's about personal leadership and overcoming trauma. So That's on my Facebook page. So if you guys, Kelly Humphries, speaker, but that's what I'm doing, and it's because that's my heart to change how this space looks. But yeah, I can't do it without you beautiful people at ChildSafe and my amazing community. So thank you so much for having me be part of this tonight.
No worries, Kelly. Thank you so much. And make sure you head to her website and grab that book. As she said, she's going to donate some proceeds to us, which is really, really important. Thank you so much, Kelly. We really appreciate it. Well, can you believe this night is coming to a close? We cannot believe it. It's been a real blessing. We've nearly hit our target of $10,000. We're not there yet, so keep spreading the word, keep donating, keep getting people to get on board, and that would be absolutely fantastic. We have Levi McGrath going to come back in a moment, and he's going to play one song. Then I'm going to wrap it up, and then he's going to continue to play for a little bit longer, so that you can enjoy that as well. So I just want to say thank you again to our sponsors. Thank you so much to all of you who have donated. We asked you to think about the children we'll never see but need our help, and that's who we at ChildSafe are helping. And as I said, the total so far is $9,015, which is absolutely incredible. I want you to know I'm super proud of you. I thank you so much for everything you've given tonight. You're making a massive difference. And the good thing about this live is that it's going to be up on YouTube, and it's also going to be up on our Facebook page for a very, very long time. I want to say a massive thank you to Rodney from PN Digital for making this happen. Can you give him a lot of clapping emojis and thumbs up and all that sort of stuff? Rodney, you've been amazing. I know we don't see you, but you have been incredible, and I know your heart, and I know your story, and I know you're passionate about this. You've gone above and beyond, and we are super appreciative. We're going to hand over to Levi now, and I'm going to wrap it up straight after, but don't leave, because this song is just for you tonight, just for you. Here he is, Levi McGrath. Give him a clap. Woo!
Thanks so much for having me as part of this night and getting together to support ChildSafe. I help to lead an organisation called Instruments for the Outback, and we lead teams of professional musicians out to the Northern Territory each year to work with remote Indigenous communities, teaching music, taking thousands of dollars worth of equipment out there. And we're a really proud partner with ChildSafe. We came on board a couple of years ago to make sure that we were up with government legislation, to make sure that we were aware and equipped with the best practices to keep children safe as an organisation. They gave us such security, such a feeling of knowledge and power to go and do what we do. So one of the best ways tonight, if you have not made a donation already, one of the best ways that you can get involved is to actually sign up and become an actual partner with ChildSafe. If you run a footy club, if you run a netball club or a gym, if your organisation comes into contact with children, get on board. The training, the material that they pass on is just fantastic. It's easy to follow. It's easy to design some policies that will help to keep children safe. And we've heard it's such an important thing tonight. I'm going to share this final song with you. It's about not giving up. It's about those that have really struggled in this life and been through hell and wanted to just pack it all in. But it's about surviving. It's called Love Wins. You may not have victory every race you run. There may be times when it's no longer fun. For every journey there is pain to bear. You might not feel ready, but you'll make it, I swear. Hold on to hope when your faith is thin. Love wins. Hold on to hope. Don't give in. Love wins. You may not discover any easy road. There may be seasons when the healing comes slow. In every good story, there are trials to endure. Faith is the answer, you can always be sure. Hold on to hope when your faith is thin. Love wins. Hold on to hope. Don't give in. Love wins. There comes the healing when you're just about done. The night disappears with the morning star. Gone are the mountains that stood in your way. Gone are the shadows that darken your day. Hold on to hope. Faith is thin. Love wins. Hold on to hope. Don't give in. Love wins. Don't give in. Love wins. Don't give in. Love wins.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Levi. We're going to hear a little bit more from him straight after this. Once again, I just want to thank you so much. We've got a couple more donations that have come in, which is great. I have had someone say that for some reason they can't donate, something's happened or whatever. We are getting lots of donations anyway, but if you are having that problem, please email us at info@childsafe.org.au. Rodney, can you just chuck that up? info@childsafe.org.au. Email us, and so we don't miss out on partnering with you. info@childsafe.org.au. If for some reason it's not working, I'm not sure why, but we are getting donations. We had Sean from Glenbrook, $100. Thank you so much. And that's just amazing because that's a connection that has been made through Corey as well. We once again want to thank you for your support, for all of the one-off donors and also the monthly donors as well. You can donate $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you want to, because that ongoing donation helps us to be able to do that. We've seen another donation come in, Shanti and Cooper, $25, which is just incredible as well, which I'm not good at maths at all, but it's about $9,140, I think. Yes, let's go with that. $9,140. Woo! Yeah! Fantastic. That is so good. You are so amazing. We want to thank you as well for helping us to continue to create safe environments. You know how important our organisation is. You know that COVID smashed us hard, and but we know that we can survive and we can move forward and we can continue to do great things together. So from wherever you're watching or from wherever you will watch, because I know there's going to be heaps of people that watch after that couldn't make it, thank you so much. Have a great weekend and good night. And over to Levi, and you won't see me again. Levi's going to play a couple of tracks, and you can keep donating, keep supporting, keep cheering. And I want to say thank you again to everyone who spoke. You are amazing. Take care, guys.
Got a car and a roof over my head. New clothes and a blanket on my bed. Even got a room for myself inside. None of it has made me satisfied, yeah. Share the love, give it all you got. Share the love, every single drop. You can't take a thing to the next life. If we got enough, we'll be alright. While we holding on so tight. Love knows no limits. We learn to love. Love knows no boundaries. Love knows no limits. We learn to love. So share the love, give it all you got. Share the love, every single drop. You can't take a thing to the next life. If we got enough, we'll be alright. While we holding on so tight. While we holding on so tight. While we hold it. You can't take a thing to the next life. If we got enough, we'll be alright. While we holding on so tight. While we holding on so tight. River run deep, river run wide, river be free, my child. River just sleep, hear when you cry, river be peace, my child. Don't let no one tell you what you gotta do. Don't let people tell you what you have to do. Don't be blinded by the lies and all the noise. I'll be there to help you make a better choice. River run deep, river run wide, river be free, my child. River just sleep, hear when you cry, river be peace, my child. You can speak love, you can bring happiness, you can be a light, shining in the darkness. River run deep, river run wide, river be free, my child. River just sleep, hear when you cry, river be peace, my child. River be peace, river be peace, my child. River run deep, hear when you cry, river be peace, my child. River run deep, river be free, river be peace, my child. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Hope you really enjoyed the evening. Go on, make a donation tonight. Let's get to 10 grand. Why not? We're so close. Bless you all. Have an awesome evening.